I don't know if there's no questions on this. We can go to the next. This is also, you know, something, it's a program that I've got. I'll just get rid of this. This is also, I just want to spend some time on body condition scoring. I think body condition scoring now these days, we've got, Delaval's got a very fancy thing that can actually measure the cow. Every time when she comes into the parlor, she's measured by a camera that's sent to the computer, and you can get a nice graph from that cow. And then immediately you can see if there's something that's jumping out, either over-conditioned or under-conditioned. You will immediately see it. But let's, you know, so one need to look at this, the different periods, you know, at calving, early lactation, mid-lactation, late lactation, and the dry-off, the typical body condition score. So I will take you through this. As I said, you know, this is on the Mulvaney scale of 1 to 5. A cow, you know, in my opinion, a dairy cow should never be over 4. If you want to slaughter the cow, you know, for the church bazaar or something, you can push her up to 4. But this is going to you're looking for problems when you push a dairy cow over a condition score of 4. So ideally, it should be between 3.25 and about 3.75. This is at dry off, and then at calving, okay, she will then calve. You know, let's say she's calving at the 3.5. The next step, you know, because of the negative energy balance and all the energy going into the udder itself, the body condition score will start dropping. It will start dropping, and then it can go down to about 2.5. You know, when it's when a cow is peaking there with her lactation cycle, she's peaking there, and then gradually it will start picking up. You know, so the lactation curve, as I showed in the previous slide, just to draw it here. It will start there at about 2 or 3 liters, and it will go up. It will be, the peak will be there. So the peak is usually associated with this lowest point here, and that's where we actually sit with a problem. You know, where we get with this lowest point, and then because of that, there's where the cows will start ovulating, and I'll get to that now to Nader and a little bit more detail on that. Okay, so the condition score will start picking up. This is from mid to late lactation. So, you know, this is the, make this, usually I work on 100 days, every 100 days, the first 100, the second 100, and then the last 100 days of the 305 days lactation. And then at dry off, you dry off the cow at again, you know, the same as what she calved there, and then you take her through this period here. Okay, so that's important. If you look at this slide here, also nice description of what can happen if the body conditions change as +1, you know, so in other words, instead of 3, it's 4, your conception rate, sorry, if it's 3.5 instead of 2.5 at a certain stage, your conception rate, the average there on the left bottom there will be 61%. If it's only a half a condition point, it will be 55, 56. If it's 0, it will be 50%. The average conception rate, if you work on about 1.3, 1.5, 1.6 inseminations per conception, the average conception rate is about 50%. So every time when you inseminate the cow, you know, 50 to 60% of you will be lucky, and that cow will be pregnant. But you can see there at the bottom, you know, if it's -0.5 or -1, you will go down to a conception rate of 38. So you can't try and inseminate the cow, you know, that's a 2 or 1.5 condition score, and think you're going to get her pregnant. You know, you're going to waste your time. Okay, so that's the important part of this. I'm going to, for me to go up to the surface for some air, I'm going to ask the audience, and especially the students, you can see the condition score there. This is just, you know, it's something that I like playing around on Excel. You know, on the top there, you can see this is the body condition scoring. This is the average. I call it the cohort. So I will go out for I did go out for my regular visits to the farmer, and I looked at the different animals. You know, what I say, the blue ones there, the essential time for veterinarians to do body condition score would be the blue ones. At dry off at -60 days, at 30 days postpartum, that's usually when you do your postpartum examination, and then more or less halfway into the lactation at 120, 150 days to see if this cow is recovering. You can see the dark blue line there. That's what I say is the maximum. the normal maximum, and this purple line is the normal minimum, what it should be. But from your side, maybe if you can give me some indications, on the chat room. If you look at the body condition scores there, at -60, we were at about 3.5. And then at minus 30 days, that's a month before calving, at minus at 3.5. And then the cows calved at a condition score of 4. So what do you think, what would be the problem in this herd? If you look at the nutrition, and then also what would be the outcome of an overfed cow calving down at the condition score of 4? So please have a go at it, and let's see if we've got everybody on board this morning. You can type it in the chat room. There's no wrong answer. I won't mention your name if it's wrong. Please go ahead. I can't see anything coming in. Martin, are the people still there?
Chris?
I sure hope so.
No, Elena?
Chris, there's 2 questions for you, if you want me to read it.
No, I'll have a look at it now. Elena.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got from Skalk Greiling. Skalk, you shouldn't answer because that's the correct answer, but too much energy in the late dry period. Anybody else from the students? Overconditioned cows giving birth will lead to fatty cow syndrome, hepatic lipidosis. Yes, it's a very good answer. Skalk, I need to move you back now. That's a better answer than yours, Skalk. High energy diet in the dry period leading to type 2 ketosis. It's a good answer, Enriquez. Anybody else? Overconditioned at minus 62 calving, underconditioned post-calving. Yeah, so there's a problem, there's overconditioning in the dry period. Maybe those animals got hold to the good quality silage that we learned about yesterday, and they actually had a good time there. You need to adapt the cow, you need to adapt it from minus, from 4 weeks before calving. Need to adapt it and bring it back into the lactation period nutrition or the feeding, but you don't need to overdo it. Okay, no more answers. Elena, where's the questions under
the Q&A?
Okay, Dr. Chris, what in your opinion is the best methods of herd surveillance to identify subclinical ketosis?
Elena, I knew that that question will be coming. I will be there at 1:45 this afternoon. I will answer that. So it's going to be a long presentation. I won't take that long. But Gabriela, please just be patient. I will get there.
Okay, and then subclinically ill animals are sometimes easy to miss. What signs can one look out for to identify these animals?
Elena, if we look at subclinical mastitis, I think what Skalk shared with us yesterday, most definitely somatic cell count. If that somatic cell count is above 400,000 for a herd, you can be sure, that there's subclinical mastitis. Usually when you take any dairy herd, there's about 50% of animals will be normal, 48% will have subclinical mastitis, and then 2% will have clinical mastitis. So it's always, it's what I call under the surface. So there's a lot of things happening there. So if you look at mastitis, the California mastitis test, a good thing, it's a good cow side test that you can use. And then, milk recording is another good way to identify subclinical mastitis. I think also the numbers or the graphs that Skalk showed us yesterday, to work out that ratio between, say, energy and protein, and those, I will get back to some of those graphs later on today again. It's very, very important things that Skalk showed to us yesterday. How to identify that there's a subclinical problem. You can also, you can test the urine, you can even test the milk. There's, I think, a Rothera's test or something like that. When you put milk into that and then you add this reagent, the milk actually turns purple, then you know that there's a subclinical. And then also you can go into drawing blood and so on. I'll share with you a little bit later on, the beta-hydroxy butyrate, and then how you can actually identify those levels. I know in dogs and cats, we the blood urea nitrogen, also milk urea nitrogen, important thing to measure, but that's something that you can get from the milk. So I think, as although milk recording is not where it should be, I think we need to agitate and we need to convince every farmer out there that they should be a member of milk recording, not just only for the for the improvement of the herd, genetic wise, but I think as a management tool, this is a very, very important management tool, and then we're not making use enough of it. And then a lot of people will say it's too expensive, but the price that you pay is maybe the price, but the value that you get out of something, you need to look at the value. And then if you look at the partial budgeting, I can prove to you that it's most definitely adding value to you as a veterinarian, to assist you, but it's also adding value then to the farmer, to what he wants to do. Okay, so I got some good answers there. Let's go to the next slide. Negative energy balance impacts health and reproduction cows. I think this is an important graph again on the right-hand side there. Sorry, I've got some other things here on my, that you can't see, but I need to move his photos and, black bars and so on. But on this graph on the right-hand side is NEFA, the beta-hydroxybutyrate, and then glucose levels. Let's start with the glucose itself. When there's a reduction, so again, this is time here, it's -3, -1, so calving will be more or less here at this level, at 0, so they're, more or less there. You can take that, there's calving. So the glucose levels will go down, the circulating glucose will go down, insulin will be upregulate the lipolytic signal. So because of that, we get more hydrolysis. That's why I said, that ketogenic or the whole ketosis and actually what's causing it, you need to understand that, to interpret this also. But as you know, if the glucose is going down, there's not enough energy coming from the Krebs cycle. So the animal will go and look for some other place where it can get energy from. And that's where the breakdown of fat then will happen. But this will then also increase the non-esteroid fatty acids, the NEFAs. I will in future only refer to NEFAs. It's just too long that name to say it every time. Non-esterified fatty acids to be used as an energy source. And because of that, your beta-hydroxybutyrate will go up. And then, okay, the glucose down, and then the NEFAs will also go up here. So it's, I think the trigger here is, the green line is the glucose. Glucose down, breakdown products, the NEFAs and the beta-hydroxybutyrates will be up there. Some of these NEFAs can be removed by the liver, but this is also why it's so important to look at, somebody mentioned now earlier about fat cow syndrome. If there's a lot of fat, and I think if it's a certain percentage, if it's more than a certain percentage, that liver can't just operate anymore. It can't get rid of all these NEFAs, and that will, will be the trigger to go into this fat cow syndrome. Also, we need to look at diseases like liver fluke. Okay, I don't even talk about senesio and all the other things that can affect the liver. I think senesio affects your liver. Okay, if I'm wrong, but yeah. Important thing, liver fluke. If there's a liver fluke problem there, you need to use a good product. We get two different products, one that will only kill the adult liver fluke, and then also the one that will kill the immatures also. So it's important to look at that and make sure that the liver is healthy. Also your hormones, the precursors of a lot of hormones, progesterone and all those things are actually produced in the liver and then metabolized there. We need to look at that. But okay, in case of this excessive fat mobilization, the acetyl coenzyme A, the tricarbolic acid cycle, the Krebs cycles cannot fully metabolize, or actually not the Krebs cycle, the tricarbolic carboxylic acid cycle cannot fully metabolize fatty acids, and that's where you sit then with overproduction of the beta-hydroxybutyrate and the NEFAs that's going up. Okay, and then also, it converted to acetoacetate, and then this reduced to beta-hydroxybutyrate. And in the end, as we're sitting with high levels of ketones, acetone as an example. And then these ketone bodies in the body fluid, you know, this is normal. I think a lot of cows are actually in a negative energy balance, you know, at the beginning of lactation, but it's not at the level where it's pushing it over into a proper ketosis. So one also need to look at that. And then getting back to the question earlier, when do you intervene? And I'll show you now the numbers that you need to look at. Okay, so if you look at the circulating NEFAs, you know, that's an indicator, the practical application of NEFAs. The non-esterized fatty acids is an indicator of energy status of the cow. High NEFA, that's more than 0.4 milliequivalents per liter in the 2 weeks prepartum, that's prepartum, can be associated with risk at the right. So if we do have a problem, even prepartum, we can look at, you know, there's 2 to 4 times higher risk of left displaced abomasum, retained placenta, higher risk to be culled by 60 days in milk, 1.5 times higher risk to be culled over the lactation. So, you know, things already start going wrong there during the dry period. Then cows under a negative energy balance, or with a, not under, with a negative energy balance with a NEFA more than 0.7 were less likely to resume ovarian, you know, it will just not cycle before 50 days postpartum. And then the ketosis, as I said earlier, is the result, you know, is the result from this extensive mobilization of the fat itself. Okay, if you look at the next one here, the practical applications of beta-hydroxybutyrate, as I said in that earlier graph, you know, with the glucose, the NEFAs and the beta-hydroxybutyrate, the concentration of this beta-hydroxybutyrate and the duration is actually will be negatively associated with the probability of pregnancy. Again, you can see on the right-hand side there, left displaced abomasum, the decreased milk production. So if there's a decrease in milk production compared to the previous year, this is something that you need to look at. If there's a decreased milk production in, you know, in specific cohorts, we need to look at this. And this is what you as a veterinarian need to pick up when you look at the different databases that is available to us when you go into that. You know, we're not there anymore, you know, just to do a pregnancy diagnosis. I think that's, you know, that's a technical thing, or technical, yeah, it's something technical that we need to do, but that's not the end and the beginning of a veterinarian, specifically a dairy vet. You need to become involved in all of these things to be a good dairy vet. And then the rate of pregnancy on that second bullet there was 13% lower in cows with high blood beta-hydroxybutyric acid. And that can be used, you know, the circulating concentrations can be used as indicators of excessive lipid mobilization. And then I will get back later on how do you manage this. Let me just see where's the time here. Okay, I know we're spending a lot of time here. The second presentation will be a little bit shorter, and we're already about 40 minutes into this presentation, so please bear with me. But I think it's important, you know, that we do this in detail today. I think this is also a very important graph. If you look at the post-ovarian activity in dairy cows, is directly dependent on the availability of nutrient energy. If there's not enough energy, we're going to have a problem. That cow will be a problem cow. She will be a repeat breeder. You know, she will come on maybe just a feeble little heat. You know, it will kind of half an hour, then it's gone, and then there's nothing. It's not a real proper heat that you actually want to have in a cow, you know, with proper ovulation, ovulation in that cow. Okay, but the extent of this negative energy balance in the 2 to 4 weeks postpartum influenced the resumption of ovarian activity leading to the first ovulation. I'm reading that, all of that, because this is a very, very important concept. If you look at the next slide here, the nadir is the, you know, as I said there earlier also, it's nadir is a Arabic word for the lowest point. So if that lowest point is 10 days after calving, this cow's the first heat will be 10 to 14 days later. If that lowest point is only at 50 days, then 10 to 14 days later, day 60, day 70, the cow will come on heat the first time. So it's very, very important, you know, to get this cow, when it's at its lowest point, get it to its lowest point with a negative energy balance, and get her into the positive side of things here. As you can see, after this lowest point, she will recover. It will go up, and then it will almost form a straight line there. But this is, so about 10 to 14 days after this nadir, the cow will then start ovulating. Okay, so the negative energy balance, you all know, what's happening in the cycle of a dairy cow. We're sitting with LH, the luteinizing hormone. We're sitting with estrogen. We're also sitting with progesterone, and then later on prostaglandin will also play a role there. But the negative energy balance appears to be a constraint for developing the LH pattern for the first ovulation. So this is what we need to overcome, and then what we, that's going to be our focus on why we need to optimize the feeding or the nutrition of this cow. Some of the impacts of this on the oocyte, on the competence itself, I'm not going to read all of this. I'll send you the presentation later on. But again, during lactation, most glucose produced by the liver is used for the synthesis of lactose to produce milk, or to support milk production. As you know, lactose is milk sugar. It all needs to go there. And that's why we do have a deficiency or a shortage of glucose in the cycle. Then we also get a transient insulin resistance postpartum. And this can, again, diminish the utilization of glucose by the peripheral tissue in the ovaries itself. Normally, the follicle is capable of controlling these fluctuations of the glucose, but with low glucose levels around parturition, the intrafollicular levels will also decline. And that's, again, that's then leading to a poor oocyte maturation, the blastocyst development, and then hypoglycemia and early lactation might compromise, not might, it will compromise the oocyte competence. You see there's some, okay, I'll get to this question a little bit later on. Okay, some of the other effects, negative effect on immunity, I already said it in the beginning. We need to understand when things are going wrong, the first organ system that will be affected is the immune system. If the immune system is affected, all other things, you will get the disease of the day. If there's anaplasma on the farm, cows will get anaplasmosis. If there's BVD circulating there and you've got some PI animals on the farm, you will then get BVD on that in that farm or on that farm. This is because the immune system, the immune system is also an organ system with your lymph nodes, your circulating antibodies, your immunoglobulins. What else is there? Your cell-mediated immunity, all those things will be affected, and that will have an effect. And then also very important, the beta-carotene, that's a precursor of vitamin A. A dairy cow, I think, needs more vitamin A than a normal beef cow. If you look at, they can't indefinitely store the vitamin A in the liver. And then I would say, even during the dry period, the cow can get a vitamin A injection. I will say a water-soluble vitamin A injection. You also get a little bit more long-acting vitamin A's, but that should also be included into the ration itself. But yeah, if a lick block says it contains vitamin A, that's not good enough, because the vitamin A can be, it's actually broken down by, if it's lying outside in the sun can break that vitamin A in that lick block down. So it's not high enough levels. And then you can even get it more during the lactation also. I would say even every 2 to 3 months, in a high-producing cow, you can give vitamin A, and then also you need to look at the vitamin E levels. Okay, now how do you manage this? This is then the basic, the background. We're sitting with non-esterified fatty acids that's produced because of this negative energy balance. We're sitting with high levels of beta-hydroxybutyric acid. In the end, how can we manage this? This is the management of the transition cow. As I said, the lactation is not the end of the dry period, not the end of the previous lactation. Now you need to start preparing this cow for the next lactation. And then please remember that. I think it's very, very important to understand that, because some people will, this cow is pregnant, then you chase her as far as you can away from the house, and you don't observe her. When she looks like she's starting to calve, then you bring her back home. That's too late. You're going to cry, or the farmer is going to cry. We can't manage a dry pregnant cow like that.